Hi, boys and girls. Welcome back to part two of figurative language. Let's pick up where we left off. Our first few pieces of figurative language were dealing a lot with comparisons, getting us to think about how non living things compare to living things, or how two different things compare to each other. But there are other types of figurative language, such as onomatopoeias, which is just an incredibly cool word to say. And what this word means is that it is a word that imitates the natural sound of a thing. For example, the word buzz. Even when I say the word buzz, I can't help but buzz. That is an onomatopoeia. We see these a lot when talking about superheroes or action, or even when studying different types of animals, as the sounds that we make to imitate them make those sounds. Another type of figurative language often found in literature is a hyperbole. My son and several of you are the kings of hyperboles. A hyperbole is an exaggeration or overstated claim. It is often used for dramatic emphasis or to convey the degree of how something occurs. For example, I'm sure none of you have ever said, "This is going to take me forever to finish." Well, that's a hyperbole. It feels like it's going to take a long time, but it really isn't taking you forever. Because if it was, you'd still be at it today, tomorrow, the next day, and so on for your entire life. It's an exaggeration. Or my son will often say to me, "Mom, that book weighs a ton." Of course, it doesn't actually weigh a ton, it's just really heavy. And since he is little, it does feel heavier to him than it does to me. Hyperboles can be great for trying to help us understand a particular tone, attitude, or even an example of comparing something that is happening as plot or an action in the story that we wouldn't understand without that information. The next type of figurative language is an allusion. Now, this is not the kind of illusion you might be thinking of with a magician who does tricks. That, by the way, is spelled with an I. This one is allusion. And an allusion is a brief and indirect reference to a person, place, thing, or idea of historical, cultural, literary, or political significance. Wow, is that a mouthful? Simply put, an allusion helps us to better understand how something compares to something that is extremely well known to most people. For example, take a look at this particular dialogue. "You shouldn't have lied," said Sarah. "Well, we can't all wear a top hat and smoke a pipe," I replied. This is an allusion. It is alluding to the 16th president, Abraham Lincoln, who is extremely well known for being honest and for his choice of hat. Sarah is saying I shouldn't have lied, but I'm trying to allude to the fact that, hey, we can't all be Abraham Lincoln. Now, was this the best advice? Maybe not. But what an allusion does is it helps us to connect something that's going on in the story with something else that might be well known in our culture or society. These can sometimes be hard to spot, and if you're not familiar with the object that is being referred to, they can be easily missed. You're going to have to use a very careful eye to catch an illusion. Another type of figurative language that is very common are idioms. Idioms are phrases or expressions whose meanings aren't understood from the actual words that are being used. For example, I'm sure you've heard the phrase, "It's raining cats and dogs." Well, let me tell you, boys and girls, it has rained many days in Seattle, and I can guarantee you that never once have cats and dogs actually come from the sky. So, what these idioms do help us to understand is exactly how hard it's raining. So, now that we've had a chance to talk about several different types of figurative language, boys and girls, and you've had a chance to print out, copy, or save this in a special place, it's your turn. Be on the lookout. Can you spot these? Best of luck.